Okay, well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Great Old Clock. It is Wednesday, the final Wednesday in January, the last Wednesday for the first month of the year. I can't believe the first is already over. And we have a very, very special guest here tonight, Miss Joleene Moody. I am so excited to get to talk to her, and we're going to be talking about speaking for success. I mean, Joleene has had an interesting journey, and we want to talk about it. And she can help you guys that all want to be aspiring speakers. We have a few of those people that are filtering in here, so it's very important to have this conversation. But just for all of you all that don't know, let me introduce myself, who I am, what I do. My name is Gerald DuBose. My company is The New Wealth Order. We help entrepreneurs elevate their business by developing culture and implementing value-driven sales and marketing strategies to increase productivity and profitability. That is who I am. That is what I do. And right now we have to introduce the lady of the hour, Miss Joleene Moody. Joleene Moody is y'all give that lady some love. And Joleene is a former Central New York television reporter and turned freelance writer, blogger, and speaker. After struggling for years in a place that didn't satisfy her dream, true desires to write for books, stage, and screen, Joleene bravely left the security of television to embark on a journey that allowed her to unearth her greatest dreams and desires while profiting generously at the same time. That's it, generously. So today she is a power mentor to those who want to uncover and discover what they truly are meant to be and do. Talents aren't meant to sit idle. They are the key to your absolute abundance always. Welcome, Miss Joleene Moody.
Woohoo! I gotta make my own fanfare noise.
Yeah. I'm going to get one of those fancy to start pushing buttons so it can sound all fancy, like we got a huge audience in here. You know, the applause is silence here.
Yeah.
So well, welcome, Joleene. Thanks for coming, hanging out with us, and introduce you to the Great O'Clock crew.
This is cool. I know last time you do something on Sunday nights, right?
On Saturday nights, we on the last Saturday of every month, it's coming up, we do an open mic where we, kind of open up the mic and let people come in and share talents. Quite a few of the people in here come. Michaela's a singer. Sharice does some singing. There's poetry. There's comedians.
Oh, no kidding. That is awesome.
It is really like the best collection of talent you can find on the internet, and it's everybody from all over the world coming together and just dropping the business for a night, because we're always talking about this. Mm-hmm. We got to have some fun sometimes. You got to nurture that other side.
Yeah, for sure. I got to check that out. Because the last time you asked me, I was in the middle of a show. We were doing a Christmas story, the Red Ryder BB gun. Wow. Do you guys know that show? Yeah. I was the teacher, Mrs. Shields. What a riot. It was a great run. So that's where I was on Saturday nights.
Oh, okay. Well, it's this Saturday at 9 p.m. We start at 9, and we usually go about an hour and a half, 2 hours or so. It's a great, great time.
Cool.
But I want to talk to you about what was the moment that made you go from journalism to just entrepreneurship and just taking your own destiny in your own hands.
I think it was a series of moments. I think the defining moment was when I actually got punched in the face. And I mean that. I got punched in the face. I was a video journalist, so I was a television reporter that carried my own camera. I shot my own video, and I was shooting an arraignment in the courthouse. I live in the city of Syracuse. I don't know if anyone here is familiar with the city of Syracuse, but we average a lot of crime. It's a high crime rate, and I was always covering the crime beat. So there was a murder the night before. I was shooting the arraignment. There was a lot of people in the courthouse, and there was just a young man that didn't like the media being there, and he punched the camera into my head. And the camera hit the ground, and I just remember thinking, this is not where I belong. I love being on camera. I love being in front of people. I do it well. That's why I love speaking. And I love writing, and I love the people, but there was I just didn't fit. Something wasn't right. And I was in the business for 10 years. And that was the actual defining moment where I thought, I'm done. This isn't where I belong. This isn't right. And not because I'm a wuss, because I got punched in the face. It was just like, I was like, oh, I could handle it. He broke my glasses. my camera hit the floor. And actually, I got a disc slipped in my neck because of it. So thank goodness for workers' comp. But it was then I decided there's more to me. I'm a creative. There's more to me, and I need to define it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So after that event, you kind of just decided you were going to do entrepreneurship, or is that when you decided what led you to the path of speaking, writing?
Yeah.
How did that get started?
All my life, I've listened to speakers. Actually, the first speaker that I ever listened to and fell in love with, I thought he was hilarious. I still do, is Les Brown. And I had his cassette tape, Live Your Dreams. And I used to listen to it in my cassette player, you know. And, you know, as I grew older, I would listen to different people. And there was Eckhart Tolle, and there were all these profound speakers. And I used to sit in my living room. I'd listen to all of these speakers. I'd take notes, and I'd create my own talk. And all by myself in my living room, I deliver it. And I would think someday, someday, someday. And I began to feel what many of us feel, that pull from where you are into the space to where you want to be. And I put a sticky note on the back of my desk that said, I want to be a speaker. I got to figure out how to do that. And then I got to figure out how to build a website. And I think the universe heard that and started to help roll things for me. So I didn't even know what entrepreneur was. And I know that sounds ignorant, especially for a journalist, but it's not like I hung out with them and I didn't hear the word. It didn't seem to come up a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wasn't an idiot about it, but I was like, entrepreneur, isn't that someone that does their own thing? And I started to really look into it, and I thought, well, that's obviously the place I'm going.
Oh, that is powerful there. So so you decided that you were going down that journey, and did you pick up the pen first, or did you start kind of researching how to get into the speaking? And what would, matter of fact, let me rephrase the question. A better question would be, do you remember your first speaking gig and how it went?
I said, Joleene Moody, I love that you don't take no for an answer. Girlfriend group? I don't.
Yeah, that's my sister Vanessa right there. So Vanessa is phenomenal.
Vanessa, a little star heart. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So this is funny. I had covered a story when I was still working in news. It was this boring teachers conference. And when I walked in, and there was a speaker, and she's like, this whole crowd of 300 or 400 people, she has them laughing. And I'm walking in with my equipment, ready to shoot this, thinking, who is she? How did she get there? So when I interviewed the key players for my story, I went running up to her. I'm like, could I just borrow a few minutes of your time? And she let me interview her. But what she didn't know is it was for completely selfish reasons. I was like, so how'd you get started? And where did you begin? And how does that work? And I took all of this information back to the newsroom with me, and I kept her business card, and I never let it go. And about a year later, I pulled that business card out, and I went to her website, and I bought a book of hers, which was, I forget what the name of it was, but one of the things she suggested in the book was go to someone you admire and ask them how they got started. And I thought, well, I got to go to her. She's in my backyard. Right. She travels the country doing this. She makes six figures doing this. How did she begin? So I sent her an email, and I asked her for an hour of her time. She gave me that hour, and she also gave me my first speaking gig. I got paid $100. I spoke in front of a room of 400 women, and no, it was women. She called it Day of Joy. It was a Christian women's conference, and I believe in God and I love God. I don't practice Christianity, but I had no problem standing up there talking about what I loved and creating this experience. And I used a video of me jumping out of an airplane and talked about how I chose to jump out of an airplane, and if I didn't hit the ground dead, then that would give me the nerve I needed to quit my job as a journalist, and I did. And that was a great gig for me, too. I mean, they loved me. They thought it was funny. The next gig, I kind of wasn't so good.
Oh, wow. Hey, but see, you know, so many people, when they're getting started, and one thing I tell people, you know, I'm still new to the speaking thing, so I'm not going to sit here like I'm this seasoned vet. You know, I've done a lot of speaking. I've performed, and, you know, because of my positions I've held in corporate America and, you know, and just growing companies. So they asked me to come to conferences. So I'm not the keynote speaker at things outside of business usually. So I'm still getting new to this, but a lot of things that people don't understand about this is that it's a process to getting into the speaking game. Yeah. And, you know, like the whole, all the tools you need, people think, hey, I got a message, I'm ready to speak. And there's a lot more to it than that. So can we just talk about a little bit of some of the two things that are necessary that it takes to really launch your career as a speaker? Because I know you advocate for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll say first and foremost, and I think your audience would agree with this, I did not let down. I knew what I wanted, and I didn't have a website. I didn't have a reel. I didn't have marketing tools. I just had this really hungry spirit, and I knew what I wanted. So I literally would walk up to people. I learned how to network. So I would go into these rooms and network with all of these people, and I would, hear somebody talk about this or that conference, and I would walk right up to the organizer and say, what do I need to do to get into your room? And they'd say, well, you need this, you need this, and you need this. Well, I'll be honest, I use my reporter hat, and I'm like, well, I don't have a reel, but I can stand in front of a room and I can shift them like nothing else. Tell me what I need to show to you so you choose me. And that's with nothing. I had nothing. And that's what got me into more rooms. Am I echoing?
No, you're good. Okay. I don't hear an echo.
Okay. So that's what got me into more rooms. And then I had my own little camera, my own microphone. Because remember, I learned how to shoot and edit video. I shot myself. That sounds kind of funny. But I shot my own video of myself so I could start building my reel because I was hungry. I knew what I wanted. And if I couldn't figure it out, you better believe I found out. And I mean, my website at the time, Gerald, I wasn't married. My last name wasn't Moody. It was DeRosier at the time. It was like jddes.webs.com. It was a subdomain, and there wasn't a search engine in the world that could find me. But I just kept moving. So,
that's important.
Yeah, and I didn't have these things. And I say this because a lot of people say, well, I don't have this and I don't have that. I didn't have any of it. But I figured it out, and I continued to figure it out. And slowly I started to make money, and people would tell people about Joleene. I mean, I'm a high energy girl. When I'm off the stage, it's funny, I get exhausted because I give everything I've got when I'm up there, and it just kind of progressed from there. And I didn't even know when I was an entrepreneur what I was. Like, people would say, well, what do you do? There's branding experts and business coaches. I ended up becoming a business coach. I would just say, I'm a speaker. I'm just a speaker. Oh, can you talk about this? I'd say, sure. So my first year was like, can you talk about social media? I was like, all right, I can do that.
Hey, if you want me to, I'm willing to run my mouth. That I know that's right. So that's important. A lot of people are trying to figure out messaging because that's something that people always advocate for. What is your message that you are trying to convey to people? And as you just so represented, your message is customized to whatever audience you're speaking to. If you're smart about it, So let's see. You talked about your first gig when they gave you the $100. What was your first? Let's say, we'll just say 4-figure gig. Because 5 is people like, oh my God. Let's just talk about the first time you got over $1,000 to speak. And where were you and what was that like?
That was at Keuka College in the Finger Lakes. And they paid me $1,500, I think it was. And it was for adult students. They have like an adult education program. And they just, by that time I had a contract. So the woman that I had interviewed, selfishly getting all this information, I had become, we became friends, and she gave me her contract and I created my own contract. So I was starting to get a feel on what questions to ask, which is important because I had to know what that audience was like. What do they need? What are you expecting? What do you need? And then I would formulate my talk around that. And interestingly, Gerald, you'll talk to some speakers that say, nope, you got to have 3 talks and that's it. And I tried to do that. You stay within your expertise. I want to be clear about that. Like when I said I talked on social media, I didn't know about social media. I was at a conference the night before. The Rotary Club wanted me. I whipped up this 20-minute talk just because I wanted to have the experience. So a lot of people will do that. But once you graduate yourself to a place where you're confident with your message, your whole world will change and people will see what you're worth. But I think it was about 45 people, and what a high it was. And it wasn't a lot, but I was able, I don't like podiums. I like to get into the thick of where people are.
Absolutely.
I used to sing in a band years ago, and I used to bop around the whole wedding and sing with all of those people and, dance.
You used to sing? You like it. Get out of here. You used to sing, Joleene?
Yeah, I used to sing with
Go,
What did
go
I
ahead.
do?
With who?
It was a wedding
what
band.
Hey, well, you're definitely coming to the open mic now. Now you're on the list. We've already enlisted you to the open mic, but that is so phenomenal, and I do find the whole podium thing really restrictive, and it's almost like you're putting a buffer between yourself and the audience. So even I know at certain engagements, I always tell them, give me a mic or a headset, because I'm not going to stand here. I'm not lecturing to people. And I noticed something, just in researching exactly what you've done and things of that nature. We share quite a few commonalities, the whole Robbins Mandana training thing. I know you did that for the coaching, and I know that helps with speaking as well. I mean, because I believe a lot of times the best speakers are really trainers. You're doing like a workshop style where you're involving the people, not just talking to them. So with doing all of that, what are the basic things people need to know if they want to launch a speaking career?
Let's start with real general basics, because there's people that want to be a speaker. They want to get paid for that keynote. They want $5,000, they want $7,000, they want $10,000, they want $15,000, and they're just going to show up in a room. I make that sound like that's all they're going to do. It's hard work, but they show up, they get their check for $7,000, and they go on to the next venue. Then there's speakers that are platform speakers, and that's what I did for a long time too. I kind of did both of them. Being a coach, I had no problem going to a conference that wasn't going to pay me. And if anyone here is frequenting conferences, your keynotes are getting paid, but your breakout session speakers or workshop leaders are not. So I would take those roles as the workshop leader or breakout session speaker because I knew I could convert the room. And I could convert a room to $45,000 because I was selling this high-end coaching, and I would put people in group coaching, or I would do one-on-one coaching. And then I ended up actually creating a study course called Convert the Room that took people from how do you get into those rooms? Where do you find these conferences? What do you say to the organizer? Once you're there, how do you sell yourself without being manipulative or salesy or feeling like you're pushing on people? Because I did business coaching for a long time, and I coach people on how to overcome that fear of selling, because a lot of people have that. They feel like they're pushing because people are out there pushing. And, we don't want to mix ourselves with those people. So it really depends on what, people want to do. If they want a full-fledged speaking career, just to do keynotes, start with colleges, or start with, I'm trying to think, colleges is a really good place to start, but business organizations too. I have an ebook, Gerald. If I can just direct people to it, is that okay?
Oh, yes, please. Yeah.
That's why $4.
No, see, but this is why I wanted you here, because I know a lot of people are really wanting to get into the speaking game, and I really felt that they could benefit from talking to a phenomenal person such as yourself that has been doing this for a while. So,
well, thanks. I appreciate that. Well, here's my website. I just typed it in. If you go to my website, there's a tab called Tools of the Trade, or you can go to Amazon. It doesn't matter. But the name of the book is How to Find and Create Paid Speaking Gigs. It's $4. And it walks you through literally where to begin, where to look. There's a website out there. I'm going to spell this wrong, but I think it's Weddles.com. Perfect example of, if you go to that website, it's jam-packed with associations. And there's an association out there for everything: gas stations, convenience stores, everything. But you dig around and you root around and you decide, this is my message. Oh, this marketing association, what can I do for them? And it gives you all the information so you can reach out to them. You can go to their website. When do they have their events? Because they always do, whether it's annual or biannual. So they're looking for people like you. Your job, is to be able to have the nerve. And I say this because a lot of us hide behind our computers. The nerve to pick up the phone and say, what is your protocol? That's the first question you ask. My name is. When I was selling high-end coaching, I called myself a client closing expert. So I'd say, my name is Joleene Moody. I am a client closing expert. I help women entrepreneurs overcome the fear of selling. I'd love to speak for your organization. What is the protocol so I could put myself before you? And then go from there.
See, and that is so important in aspect of entrepreneurship that people overlook. Just the want to. You know, a lot of people think they throw up their name, their business, they put up a website, I'm done. I'm going to be rich next week. Everybody's going to find me. Nobody knows who you are. Mm-hmm. And especially in the speaking game where it is so many conferences and many different levels to it, you have to be proactive, especially when you're starting. Yes. Now, I do know one tool that a lot of people do overlook, or something that a lot of these conferences look for, and that you talk about a lot, is that speaker one sheet. Can you just talk to people about the importance of like the speaker one sheets and things of that nature?
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing you have to recognize is that less is more. So a speaker one sheet is literally, mine's two, and people tease me about it, but it's not a lot of information. It's actually a little bit of information, but it's created for the visual, you know, so you see my picture over here, there's a link over here, I send it as a PDF. But you want your headshot? You want a very brief bio. No one cares how many degrees you have. They just want to know what you can talk about and what you can deliver. And talk about all your accolades after. The top 3 talks that you have. Why organizations choose you. Like on my one sheet on the left-hand side, it says top 5 reasons why organizations choose Joleene. And I think about what organizations like. This is what they like. They like you on time. They like humor. They like you to be very presentable and very clean and neat. And it's funny because I kind of have this reputation for kicking my shoes off at events. And it's kind of earned me this, it's a fun thing. So people say, oh, you're the one that kicks her shoes off. You know, so it gives me a little bit of that specialty as far as I'm concerned. But, you know, they want someone that's going to show up on time. They want someone who's got a clean, concise talk, and they're very, very clear about what it is they're going to talk about. So you want to put those things. So your headshot, brief bio, top 5 reasons or top 3 reasons why organizations choose Joleene. And the reason I say PDF is because when you email these organizations and they open up that one sheet, you want a link so they can click on your reel and be able to see exactly what it is you can do. And I do want to just say one more thing real quick. For the ebook I was talking about, I just plugged a link in right there. That's a free, for part of my book, you can start to read it for free. And if you think it's cool, then you can buy it. But you can start to read it to see what kind of information I'm actually going to spit out and give to people. And it's as detailed as how and what to say to organizers when you call them. Because I think a lot of people get stumped there.
Oh, yeah, that is a major hang up for people, because a lot of people just have problems in general networking. And yes, to be bold enough and brazen enough to call an organization that you do not know and tell them, hey, I think I'm the speaker you need. And what do I do to go through your protocol? It takes a preponderance of bravery. So I see we're almost at the 8:30 mark. If you guys could, please tell a little bird, tell your friends on Facebook. We just want to let people know we're having this conversation, and we have wonderful, magnificent Miss Joleene Moody in the house with us. And I am ready and willing to let some people come in and talk to you for the last half hour. You know, I wanted to dominate the talk. So if anybody has questions, you all know the protocol that are here live, and for the folks on the podcast, hey, just listen back and you'll get some information. But if you like to ask a question, type #Q or just call in. We have no problem doing that, and talk to Miss Joleene Moody about speaking for success. So the seat is open now.
Woohoo! Thanks, girlfriend group. It takes guts. It does take guts. You've got to be willing to put yourself out there. And you know, if you're not making a fool of yourself, you're not doing it right. You know what I mean? Because everyone, when we step, hey, Nick, everyone, when we step into this, it's going to be a little bit nerve-wracking.
Okay, I've never seen Nick before. Okay, Nick, I'm going to let you in. And I'm going to let Lori in. Hey, Nick, how are you, man?
Doing well. Just saw this podcast. Figured I'd come in here.
Awesome, brother. Awesome. So within the Miss Joleene Moody, very well-known speaker. And do you have any questions for Miss Joleene Moody about how you can get into public speaking or what you speak on?
Well, I don't even know if I do public speaking, but I'd be interested to know what she does.
Oh,
what do you do,
okay.
Joleene?
Well, if joining the Blab here, I'm basically a professional speaker, and I teach people how to find and create paid speaking opportunities so they can enhance their business, make more money.
And by business, you mean a public speaking business?
Well,
No,
it depends. If you want to be just a speaker, you can start a business as a speaker, or if you have a business, whether you're a branding strategist or social media or whatever it is you're out there doing, how to use speaking to attract more clients to and grow your business.
Sure. And then you offer some sort of like educational service where you teach people how to speak, or do you speak to them and then?
I do both. I do both. I have programs that people can actually purchase their study courses. Absolutely. So if they're interested, yeah, they're very affordable too. That I have one for $97 for beginner speakers and one for $197 for that intermediate seasoned speaker. But it takes them right from the top. Where can I find these gigs? How do I know they'll pay me? How do I negotiate my fee? You know, all of these pieces that we need to know as we grow.
By gig, you mean some sort of thing where you go and speak? For example,
speaking engagement, yeah.
Yeah, speaking engagement. Say again, Nick.
So give me an example of a gig.
A speaking engagement.
What do you do for a living, Nick?
Me?
Yeah.
So I'm in college right now, but I run an online website protection company. I run a bunch of online companies, VPN technologies, DDoS protection, content delivery networks.
So you're an online entrepreneur. So basically, for someone like you, for example, whatever it is that you're doing with your work, there are conferences, summits that need expert voices like you. So what I teach people how to do is get into those conferences. That's what I call gigs, so they can be a speaker themselves.
So how do I do that?
Join the club.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, that is a loaded question, and that would be something where you would have to talk to her privately offline. Nick, we appreciate you jumping in. We got people, we're going to kind of rotate because we got people that want to come in and talk to Joleene before she has to go. If you could just please be part of the audience, continue part of the conversation, and we'll continue to facilitate. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nick.
All right. And we have the wonderful Miss Lori Mowers. I haven't seen my girl in a long time, and Dr. Sims is jumping in as well. So, Lori, you have a question for Joleene?
Well, actually, you know, I did have some questions for Joleene, but she kind of went over all of them with her last young man. And so I'm left going, okay, I need to go over and there and there. Hello, Doctor.
Dr. Sims,
hey,
First Church of Periscope in the house. Dr. Sims, how are you, sir?
I am doing fine, Brother Gerald, Joleene, Lori. How y'all doing this evening?
Doing well.
Hi, Dr. Walter Sims.
Hey, I want to do you like you did one of your former mentors. I would like to spend an hour with you, and I want help, you know, securing those paid speaking engagements.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we can do that. I'll tell you a little secret too, is one thing, if you go to my website, I've started blogging, and one of the blog posts I put out there is when I have a consultation, I actually charge for that consultation now. So an hour with me to get started and give you any information you may want is $225, you know, so it's going out there to everybody. And in that hour, whatever questions you have, I can answer. But I've also got, if you go to my website, and I'll type it in again just so people can see, I have lots of tools to get people started. So there's a link on my website called Tools of the Trade.
Got it.
And in order, starting from the top, are the most affordable down to the ones that get most expensive. The most expensive tool is $197. The first is an ebook for $4. But primarily for beginning speakers, what I recommend is I have a study course. It's 5 modules, 5 audio modules with content sheets, but it literally takes you from the beginning. Where do you find these rooms? How do you find them? Do you want to do a keynote or platform speaking? What do you say when you pick up the phone to call the organizer? How do you negotiate with them when they try to tell you, no, we're not going to pay you that much money? And then how do you build and write the talk? All of that stuff I've got there. So, you know, to get you started, it's a great like leap pad, jumping pad to get you started.
Okay, sounds good. That sounds good. I got all that jotted down, and we'll talk later.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
Thanks.
cool.
Thanks.
Dr. Sims. Love to see you all the time.
Okay.
Solutions
All
Turks
right.
has a question.
Yeah,
What
I was going to say,
prospecting,
Turk has a question. Yeah.
what prospecting
What
strategies do you use the most to get speaking engagements, phone call, networking, email, etc.? I should have brought the book with me because I'm not in my office. I started with a collection. It's this huge book, but it's available online, Columbia Books and Resources. So if you guys are interested in this, write this down. It costs money, but basically the beauty of Columbia Books and Resources is, and I wrote about this in the ebook too, is, I mean, there are hundreds of thousands of organizations and businesses that need speakers. And the beautiful thing is they tell you what their budget is. They give you their contact information. They give you the date of when the conference is, where the conference is, who you're supposed to talk to, the email address, all of that. So that's where I began. So yeah, I would network and I would get gigs locally. But to step outside of that, I started utilizing Columbia Books and Services. And then I would just pick up the phone. And I would basically ask them, I would say, my name is Joleene Moody. I'm a client closing expert. I teach people how to find and create paid speaking opportunities. I'd love to speak for your audience. Can you tell me what the protocol is? So then I throw the ball to them. And they say, well, we need this and we need that. But lots of times too, when you use this particular resource and you go to these websites, you'll find links on those websites, speaker proposal. And you'll go right to that speaker proposal and you'll see exactly what they're looking for. And I recommend you keep all of that information. They want your bio. They want your top 3 talks. They want where you've spoken. They want references. Keep it all in a file and document. Because as you go through this process and start discovering more conferences that need you, you'll have all of this information handy and you can fill out that information in those fields on their website much quicker and get it to them. Does that answer your question, I hope? Columbia
Turk,
Books
did that
and
answer your
Resources.
question?
Yeah. Yes. Awesome.
And that is so important. Okay, Lori's ready now. Okay, go ahead, Lori.
Oh no, Lori's just absorbing all the information. She's yes. I was like,
it's a lot. You know what, guys? Something you can do too if you're not ready for Columbia Books and Resources. It's like $1,000 or maybe $1,200 to get a membership for a year.
Yeah,
I bought the book. Yeah, I bought the book. I should run and go get it. It's huge. It's annoyingly huge, but I bought the year before because this is when I was still working and growing. So I got a discount on it. Plus I got a discount because it was the book. And so I'm looking through these books, manually, like the old fashioned way to get this information. But like for those who aren't ready for the books, use, Google. Not just Googling. You can Google, but you can actually have Google Alerts. And type in, you can go to Google Alerts right now and say, type in the words platform speaker 2017, speaker submission 2017. And then you'll get in your inbox all of these random conferences that are looking for speakers. Pretty cool,
Awesome
eh?
information. Yeah. That is powerful information. We are talking with Miss Joleene Moody, professional platform speaker, client coach, and just all around fundamental sister. Here's another very important thing you said that I just want to go back to because it's something that's second nature for you and probably more experienced salespeople. But the importance of being able to be concise and precise about exactly what it is you do and you can affect that conference in a positive way is important. People call them elevator pitches, whatever it is. I just call it being able to say what you do in less than 15 seconds so that it catches people's attention. People usually tell you 30. No, it's like 15 seconds. In that 15, you need to be able to let people know exactly what it is you do and how they're going to benefit. And that's something you did, and that's why I responded well, I believe. Yeah,
and it took me a long time just, because that was always coming out, have an elevator pitch, and I was constantly struggling with it. And when I was doing the business coaching hardcore, the title client closing expert, I researched it. Nobody owned it. You know what I mean? It really attracted a lot of attention because it helped. What I was doing was helping speakers, and then here comes my elevator pitch, find and create paid speaking opportunities. And that's attractive to people. But that took me like 2 years. You know, I would say all these different things and it kept graduating and changing. You know, but that's what people want, is they want to be able to find the space. What is it they need to do so they can grow their own business? Where do they find their clients? And I think networking is great. But I got to tell you, there's nothing greater than sitting or standing or being among people that when you're done talking, they're coming up to you and saying, I need to talk to you. I got to have what you have. Give me your Kool-Aid, you know? And that didn't happen to me in year 1 or year 2 or year 3 or year 4. It started in 5 and 6 and 7 because I stayed the course. Yes, I got bummed out. Yes, I would think I sucked. We all do. But I'll tell you, the most successful people in the world, they stay the course. You know, that we can never compare somebody's middle with their beginning. And even, you know, I have a middle. We're all in the middle. Even when we're beginning, we're in the middle. And I still find myself going, wow, I wish I'd, and then I slap myself across the face because, you know, I'm on a good journey too. And I've been places and I still have a lot to learn.
Yeah. As to say, I'm at the beginning of transformation into, and I have a lot of folks that are encouraging me to go into the speaking. And, but how to find that, the steps to do that is then.
Yeah, it's a big question. It's like, I'm just starting to explore blogging and monetizing blogging. And I'm a total geek. Like, I can spend a day reading, watching, you know, I'll read a book and it'll tell me, go do this. And I will put that book down and go do it. I don't care if it takes 15 hours. Okay, that step's done. And then I move. That's how I function. That's why I wrote my ebook that way, and my study courses are that way. So someone could do a module, set the module aside, and there's no question. They know what they need to do to execute the process, you know, so they could start finding these gigs. And they're out there, they're everywhere. The trick is you have to be willing to understand that there's a huge difference between keynote speaking and platform speaking. And when you start searching, some of it, like when you find larger conferences or summits that are primarily business people, especially online entrepreneurs, a lot of those aren't paid. Unless you're a whole big thing, there's 3 ways you're going to become a keynote speaker. You are either a celebrity, you are either an extreme expert in your field, or you have overcome some adversity and you've made headlines that way. So you are, you know, right there in front of someone's face. If you're not one of those 3, you've got to figure out how to be. Okay, and if you are one of those 3, then you're the lucky one. They pick up the phone. They're like, "Yeah, we're going to pay you $25,000." No.
I don't know if I've overcome things that make me stand out. So.
It's a process, you know.
And that's important when you're on the stage. You know, being able to tell people that process, because that's what people buy into. That's how they find themselves in your talk. You know, going through the valley, you know, because you got the peaks and you got the valleys. So that's pretty important. And yeah, that is great wisdom difference between keynote and platform speaking. Joleene is phenomenal, man. And that's why I wanted you all to meet her. And Joleene, so what is who are your mentors? Who do you look up to now in this space right now?
You know, I had a coach for the longest time that still is, I call him Master Chris. He thinks that's funny. He taught me how to sell, you know, and selling is, if you're in business, you have to. You know, I'm not talking about at a table selling your widgets. You know, when I say selling yourself, I have trepidation saying that because it's such a contrived statement and it often comes with manipulation. That's what people's perception of selling is. But I to this day think to myself, what would Chris do? What would Chris say? Chris would do this. Chris would say this. This is how Chris would approach it. Chris wouldn't get mad. So Chris Kenny of Income 180 was my mentor for a very long time. I think of him. The way I look at mentors, I'll be honest with you, I really have learned to absorb every single individual and take something from them and see who they are. Like before, I used to put people up here and look at them as mentors. But I think what I recognize now is we're all in this boat. How can I help you? How can you help me? How can we serve one another? How can we do this the right way? Because I gotta tell you, there's some real a-holes out there. There's just people that are very, they're very, very selfish, very self-absorbed. I belong to a group, a Facebook group with a lot of influential speakers. And I left the group because they were very catty and they put them above other people. And I don't roll that way. I don't want to roll that way. You know what I mean? We have all been put on this earth to serve one another. And if they're going to play ball like that, I'm just going to go to another playing field.
That is so true, because everybody in here knows me, and one of the things I say on a consistent basis is we're born for only two reasons. Our purpose is clear when we're born, as far as I feel. We're put here to create and to serve. Now, how we do those two things, I don't know, because it's different for each one of us. But your purpose is clear. How you're going to live that purpose is something that you're working on. And here comes Alicia, my sister's jumping in. That's exactly right, from every instance in each person, 100 mentors. And hey, there she goes.
Hello. How's everybody?
Good. Hi.
I just wanted to say thank you, Joleene, for your transparency and for just sharing what you've shared so far. As far as I guess securing speaking gigs and putting yourself out there, how selective are you as it relates to picking the organizations for, like, I'm big on like integrity and matching up and aligning with organizations that complement the message that I give. So I just don't want to take gigs just because they're paying some money. How much do you filter the organizations that you choose to speak with?
That is a fantastic question. At this point, 185%. So, so basically the only organizations I like colleges. There's something, and not in the adult education, because, all of us have second, third, and fourth acts. And I think what we don't do is give ourselves permission to have them. So I have discovered, and I have spoken to, organizations all over the country, one in Canada. So I suppose that can make me international. So, and my favorites are those. So, but in the beginning, I'll be perfectly frank with you. I took them not just for the money, because I thought, well, I mean, there were some, but I thought it was right. You know what I mean? I thought it was the right thing to do. But I'll tell you, to this day, I've chosen this year to stay closer to home because I'm trying a new leg in my business. I'm a writer. I love to write. So I really want to see this come to fruition. So I have backed up a little bit, staying mostly at home. But I had an organization call me. Oh, we'd love to have you. What was it? I think it was AARP, as a matter of fact. We'd love to have you. There's this money in our membership. What is your fee? Now, my fee in my own backyard is $1,500. If I have to travel an hour or less, I charge $1,500. If it's regional, so if I have to go to Albany, New York, or Rochester, New York, or New York, it's between $3,000 and $5,000. So I quoted them $1,500 because they were in my backyard, and she laughed at me. She laughed at me and she said, "We don't have that kind of money." Now, in the beginning of my career, she offered me $50, by the way.
AARP.
AARP. And the line that you will hear, my loves, over and over again is, "We don't have any money. We're a nonprofit organization." And I have skilled my responses back, and I gently say, I honor and respect that, but I'm not. This is my livelihood, and this is how I make money. And I'm sure you're getting paid right now to speak to me, but I need to be able to get paid to speak to you. I mean, I've got it down to a science now, you know what I mean? Because over these years, people will constantly tell you, "Oh, we lost Gerald."
No, he's going to refresh. He was having screen issues.
Oh, okay. People will constantly tell you they don't have the money. That's where you have to really be strong. Because, there's one woman I was talking to that's a speaker's agent. So there are agents out there, by the way, that actually you have to be very experienced to work with them, that help you line these gigs up. And when she's talking to people and they say, "Well, our fee, we can't pay you $8,000. She will say to them, "What would you pay me if I were a man?" Nothing against the men here, but you learn to see what you're up against, and they'll give her the $10K that she's asked for. So negotiation is crucial.
Mm-hmm.
Did that answer your question? I tend to.
Yes.
Okay.
No, that was perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right. And so we can just find everything through your website, and we can just kind of go through
have it literally lined up by like the pieces that are financial, like the ebook is $4. The next piece, and I recommend it because if you pay $97 for it, your first gig is going to 18-fold pay for it. But for those of you out there that are beginning speakers and you don't know how to begin, get the Convert the Room study course. It's 5 modules. You can listen to it in your time. It's very precise. It's very thorough. And the content sheets go with it. So you know what to say when you reach out to organizers. You know where to go to find these gigs. You know how to craft your talk. Because I think a lot of people get stuck there. You know, they say, well, I've got this great talk. It's got this. You've got to know how to punch it in the beginning. You've got to know to keep the meat and potatoes in the middle so they stay intrigued. I call it teach and turn. When I get to the end of my talk, if I'm doing a platform speaking and there's clients out there that are potential coaching clients that would buy my product, I ask permission. That's another tool you'll find in this course. I ask them permission if I can tell them more. I say, you know, I'm out of time. I'd love to share more, but I'm out of time. With your permission, can I tell you how to get more of me? And then I nod because it goes into their subconscious and they go, okay. Yes, we love more. So I say, great. And I'll tell them about something I have. And I know in my heart I'm serving them with this. They don't have to buy it. And then what I do is I tell them this for maybe 40 seconds. This is this and ABC, FYZ. And then I turn to them and then I teach. And I teach by asking a question to keep them engaged. And I'll say, how many of you out there, blah, blah, blah. And I ask them a really powerful question that gets them thinking about their business. Like one of the questions I ask is, how many of you out there get no when you try to sell your product or service? And that's everybody, because we all do. We all get no's, and people they're on the edge of their seat. So I deliver the answer, I teach, and then I turn. And then I show them how they can get that in the product. So that's what I'm doing platform speaking. I mean, I stumbled. I remember the first time I tried to sell something, I was shaking. I was so scared. But I sold too.
And how do you balance your nonprofit work? How much do you do for free? How much speaking if you do any at this point for free? How do you, percentage wise, if you can give an idea?
I do 3 gigs a year pro bono. And it has to be an organization that's endearing to me. You know, I have done, I've spoken for the American Red Cross, but what's their red dress campaign? It escapes me now. What is that called? Someone say it, because now I'm babbling like an idiot. But anyway, the red dress campaign, the first time the American Red Cross brought me in.
Heart Association, isn't it?
What's that?
The American Heart Association?
The American Heart Association. The first time they brought me in, they paid me $500, which was great. The following years after, when they came to me and asked me, I did it pro bono. They said, well, can you do it this time? And, you know, that's near and dear to me because, well, the response I got the first year I was there, you know what I mean? So it really depends on the organization, but it's a great point you bring up too, because I always preach, don't give yourself away, you know, limit yourself to what you're going to give away, because this industry, so many speakers do give themselves away that organizations are conditioned to it and they're going to expect it and they're going to ask you. Right. And they'll say, you know, this is my favorite thing they'll say, well, the exposure you're going to get is phenomenal. You know what I mean? And I've got it down to a science, the lines that I deliver. And I say to them, I always say, I honor and respect that. But I hope you understand at this point, I'm not looking for exposure like you. I'm looking for a salary. And it gets them thinking, you know, because they're trained to ask, to try to get something for nothing. But there's got to come a point where you stop giving yourself away.
That is so true. And Art was talking about a point I say all the time is if you aren't getting no, you aren't prospecting hard enough. You're going to get no. You should condition yourself to get some no, so that way when you hear no, it's kind of like you're numb to it. Okay, all right, I can appreciate that. However, and you can still explain it to them, and if you really, really don't want the gig, just leave it be. And sometimes you don't want to, because you don't want to seem desperate. One of my favorite lines from any movie from any play or movie I've ever heard is Romeo and Juliet. And, you know, at the end, when Romeo was buying the poison from the merchant told him, he said, my conscience does not let me give you this. My poverty demands it. And Romeo looked at him and said, I pay your poverty, not your conscience. Basically saying, I don't care. You need right now. So who's ever in the position of needing more is the one that is with the power. So if they don't feel like you need them more than then they need you, then they're not going to pay you. But if they need you more than you need them, they'll pay you.
And, you've got to stand in your truth. And I know it's hard. I have been there where, $100 meant everything to me at some point, but I started to recognize when I said, no, I'm sorry, this is what it is. There'd be that pause, and then they'd say, okay. So they have it. They have it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. I got to run, but I just wanted to get those few questions answered. And I'm following you and checking out your website. Thank you, Gerald. It was a great topic. Have a good night.
Thank you.
You too. Good night.
Always good to see you, Alicia. And Chris, did we get to Chris's question yet? Chris has a question here. What's the best way to make the transition from consultant who is comfortable in front of an audience to a stage speaker?
So I think what you're asking, Chris, is how do you go from a platform speaker to a keynote speaker? I'm not sure if that's what you're asking. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's literally it's a linear move. You know what I mean? So if I'm understanding you, Chris, that you're doing just that, you're a platform speaker and you're selling your services and you want to know, well, how do I go from doing keynotes? It literally is seamless. You just have to shift to the left and start putting yourself in front of those particular organizations that need keynotes. And to do that, I recommend you dig a little bit into the Columbia Books resource that I mentioned earlier, because there's so many gray spaces, and I'm trying to talk black and white here. But when you see a large conference, you know that primarily they're not paying their speakers. If you want to be their top keynote speaker, then that's what you have to shoot for. So when you speak to the organization, you have to be able to let them know you are who they need. And I don't know if you were in the room when I said, you either got to be a celebrity, an expert in your field, or have overcome some kind of adversity. If you're not a celebrity and you don't have an adversity story where you've made headlines or something, you've got to be the expert in your field. And a lot of us don't think we are. I guarantee 90% of us in this room don't think we're the expert in our field, so we won't show up and ask. So I think for you, it might just be a matter of going to the organizer and saying, what is your protocol for being the keynote? So just turning left a little bit, find out that information, go down that road, and they'll tell you, well, you need to fill this out. You need to have this much information. And then they'll throw you for a loop and they'll say, well, what's your fee? And you'll be like, I don't know, because you don't want to undercut yourself and you don't know what they're paying their actual keynotes. But, be brave, throw it out there. You never know. I have a friend of mine that threw $10,000 out there once and was waiting for them to hang up on her. And because there was a pause and they said, is that per day? Because they needed her for 3 days of training. So she went, yes, she got $30,000. Wow. So you never know. You never know.
Oh, awesome. This is phenomenal information. Again, we are here with Joleene Moody, the phenomenal public speaker, business coach, and all around groovy gal, as they say. Yeah, I change it up every time. Don't pay me no attention. Daphne is asking what book you are talking about. There it is right there, Daphne. She's been giving so much information. It's been great. Now, Joleene, one of the important parts of being a leader in any field, obviously, is reading. So what books are Joleene Moody currently reading?
I'm reading Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert right now. I am a creative entrepreneur. If anyone's familiar with Elizabeth Gilbert, she wrote Eat, Pray, Love. It was a whole big thing. And Big Magic, it's good for me because I am a creative soul. And I have to be able to express myself artfully, whether it be with my words, whether it be on stage, whether it be singing. So for the record, if you do visit my website, you're going to see that it's actually transitioning into a blog because I want to be that voice for creative entrepreneurs that feel discouraged that they can't make money doing what they love. You can, especially using speaking. I mean, whether it's teaching or a workshop, you're still speaking. So I thought I'd put that out there. Did I answer the question? I ramble a lot.
Yes. Yeah. No. That was perfect. You answered. You answered the question. So that is a great thing because it's important that we continue to expand our awareness and just open ourselves to new thoughts and processes and strategies, and in order to be able to stay current in any field.
Yeah.
So my last question for you as we get close to the 9 o'clock hour would be, when the final song is sung about Joleene Moody, what do you want the world to say about you?
Don't cry out loud. No, I'm kidding. I want them to say, well, that I was funny. I love making people laugh. I love it. My dream is to write a screenplay, which I've done, and I've been working with a producer writing it. And I got to tell you, I'm higher than a kite about it because she thinks it's funny. So I want people to say that she's not only funny, she's humble. And oh my gosh, I learned so much from her. She's the kind of person that I want to see in the world. And what I'm doing is that's like a confirmation for me, because I've had moments in my life where I was a real bitch, excuse my language. And I've learned to grow and really appreciate people. And so I want people to say, she was very loving. She loved people. She loved making people laugh. And damn, could she speak.
That is awesome. And Cherise says, great voice. She loves Melissa Manchester. Please keep singing.
I didn't know that.
She said, I didn't even know who it was. Joleene didn't even know who it was. Now, we are right at the top of the hour. If anybody has a quick 30 seconds.
This was fun. I had a lot of fun doing this.
Yes, this was a blast. I knew it would be fun because I know you. So anybody want to jump in with a quick 30 seconds, have any more questions, comments, concerns? And if you could, please, one more time, give the lady of the hour, Miss Joleene Moody, some love and tweet it out, people. Let everybody know that she was in here and she was doing her thing. And
thanks, guys.
We have the professor. This is. I called.
Here is the excerpt of the book, guys. While you're still in here, that's the book, How to Find and Create Paid Speaking Opportunities. I'm offering a free excerpt, and if you like it, it's $4 on Amazon.
I wanted to just come in and take my 30 seconds and say, Joleene, thank you. I came at the very end of this blab, but you sitting in the square next to the maestro, Gerald DuBose. Now I know there's two maestros in blab at the same time, because you are a take no prisoners kind of gentle love kind of person. I love that about this blab, because it's no BS, it's badass, and it's very, very highly sophisticated. The talk track that you just shared with us, and I certainly learned a few gems and will carry them forward as I go. And,
brilliant. Well, thank you.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, thanks, Art.
The Professor, Art Jones. Okay. Chris says his internet connection is dropping. We'll have to sign out. Great subject. Well, thank you, Chris. We appreciate you. And we definitely want to thank you, Miss Joleene Moody, for being here. And Lori, so good to see you. Don't stay away so long. You know what? I feel like Janet Jackson. Don't stay away. Don't do that.
I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to stay in. I'm not trying to hide. I'm really not. There's been some things going on that have needed my attention.
Okay.
Life happens.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Well, we're going to close it down. So if you can jump out, I will close it down off the record. Cool. Thank you so much, Lori. And Joleene, I thank you. And I will give you the final word, but I will say what I always say to people. I appreciate your time. Thank you all for giving us the most precious commodity you have in this world, and that is your time. And you chose to give a full 60 minutes to the shy guy with the big mouth and the wonderful Joleene Moody. And I always say we choose what type of life we have by the choices that we make. So I hope you all choose to be exceptional. Awesome. And Ms. Joleene, final words.
Thank you so much, Gerald. I officially am in love with you. So I'm so glad that we are connected. This has been fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out and asking questions.
Awesome. So we will see you all on Monday, where we will have another very special guest, New York Times bestselling author Chris Edmonds, talking about leadership. Yeah, so Chris will be here on Monday talking about leadership and culture. And that is very important in your business. So we will see you all again on Monday for another edition of Great O'Clock.
Good night, everyone.